Welcome to this Packet Tracer lab where we explore the physical view of Packet Tracer and configure a 2 IP network lab and give a demonstration of what things look like in the real world, simulated of course. So we're going to begin by going to the physical view, and the physical view will have a overhead view of the home city. If you select the home city, you'll have a corporate office. If you left click on the corporate office, you go deeper into the floor plan of a building. Now you have different rooms in this building, and one of the rooms is this main wiring closet where all the IT equipment is stored. We're going to utilize most of the floor plan, well, some of the floor plan. We just pick an office on the left here, and we'll call that the CEO's office. Pick this office on the right and call that the CFO's office. Now this lab is inspired by Dan's course's beginning network addressing packet tracer activity. We're going to follow these instructions, and in the end, when we're done, we should be able to ping PCB from PCA and vice versa. So here we go. So first, let's go to the main wiring closet and select our intermediaries. We're going to need a rack, so go to the right, top right, left click on create new rack, and the rack appears. We're going to use the network devices menu and select a 1941 router. So left click on the router down below, left click in the rack, and it appears. We have a power distribution here, and we can adjust the location of these devices based on preference. So I'm going to move the power distribution all the way to the top. And we see that router 0 is plugged in and it's turned on. Next is the switches. We're going to need two 2916 switches. So the router I chose was the 1941 router as shown in the lab here. He's using a 1941 router. And so let's go and select the 2960 switch. Left click on the switch, left click on the menu on the rack area, and you get to left click and drag and position it where you prefer it to be. The next item is another 2960 switch. Let's place that here. Now this is what things look like in real life. You have two switches on a rack, and you have a router on your rack, and one more thing you're going to need is a patch panel. Now to find your patch panel, you're going to go down to connections, and in connections you typically see your copper straight through cable as labeled down below here, your copper crossover cable. We're going to go instead to the option next to the connections, the submenu, that you typically only see, well, you will only see it in the physical view. You won't see it in the logical view. So click on the structured cabling, and on the right you'll see a menu. You have a copper patch panel, fiber patch panel, copper wall mount, and a fiber wall mount. We're going to select the copper patch panel. Left click on the copper patch panel and place it on your rack. Now in the real world, I'm going to zoom in, you see these holes on the right of the rack. Those are screw holes. If you had that switch, you would be holding up that switch, putting a screw on the right of that switch to mount it, and putting a screw on the left of that switch to mount it. If you've ever seen a 2960 switch, this is an exact replica of a 2960 switch. That's what Packet Tracer is. It's a simulation of what you would have in real life. The logical view doesn't really allow you to do much of this type of interaction, but that is why we're using the physical view. Okay, so the patch panel